We got a really hot Barcelona crowd, and for the third week in a row, a title change on the road to WrestleMania. These are my assorted thoughts on the March 14th, 2025 WWE Smackdown. Welcome to Silo Voice Wrestling on YouTube and the Silo Voice Wrestling podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jason C. McLean. I'm recording this Saturday, March 15th. It's around 4:30 in the afternoon Eastern Time, and 24 hours ago, I was halfway through watching SmackDown Live. Yes, I'm in Canada, so I watch all my WWE on Netflix, including SmackDown. And unlike the USA Network, which is a cable network in the States, Netflix decided to air it live. Glad I got to watch it when I did. It was kind of weird watching wrestling in the middle of the afternoon, but it gave me an evening, so can't complain. Anyways, one thing that definitely surprised me was the outcome of the DIY Street Profits match at the end of the show. It was a good match, a lot of back and forth. Street Profits looked strong, so did DIY. It looked like DIY was going to sneak one out with the ingenuity of Tommaso Ciampa. They screwed up the meet in the middle with Johnny Gargano accidentally kicking and knocking out Tommaso Ciampa. The Profits capitalized. Dawkins tagged in Ford. He went to the top rope and delivered a frog splash from the heavens, as Joe Tessitore said. 1, 2, 3, and your new WWE Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits, as the executive producer graphic appeared on the screen, and the show went off the air very quickly after the end of the match. But, okay. I thought that most likely DIY were going to keep the titles until WrestleMania, where ultimately they would drop them to the Street Profits in possibly a multi-team match. Or, barring that, maybe Pretty Deadly would actually beat them, and they would drop them to the Street Profits in the multi-team match at WrestleMania. Mainly, I didn't think the Street Profits were going to win the titles before Mania, but I definitely thought they were going to win it at Mania. Of course, the last few minutes of this match, or minute or so of this match, after the messed up meet in the middle, it became apparent what was going to happen, and it was really exciting. The crowd was really into it, and Joe Tessitore even said something along the lines of, "It's the start of a new reign in Spain," and you could tell he was waiting all episode, all SmackDown, all 3 hours just to say that line. It was great. Now, this is the Street Profits' only second title reign, and this is their first title reign in 4 years. So, wow, they've waited a while, probably through some bad booking, or the tag team scene being more the domain of single stars, but they're a proper tag team, and they are the tag team champions. I'm loving the SmackDown tag team scene, and I'm really happy for the Street Profits, and I think this brings another dynamic. Maybe DIY, their gimmick, even as heels, was running a bit stale, so they needed some fresh energy to bring the scene up to the next level, to bring up excitement for WrestleMania. I think this was a perfect place to do it, because they didn't respond to DIY at all, but they definitely responded to the Street Profits. And yeah, for the third week in a row, there was the tag title change on Raw, the US title change on SmackDown, and now this tag title change on SmackDown for the third week in a row on WWE programming. On the road to WrestleMania, they're changing championships. What is going on? This is exciting. I don't know what to expect. This was a great end to the show. I don't think anyone thought B-Fab had a chance to beat Charlotte Flair, but she still did put on a good show. This is a good way to get her name out there. I mean, losing to Charlotte Flair is not a career ender. Unless you're already a top star, then it might boost your career down a bit. But anyways, it happens to a lot. If anything, this is a career booster for B-Fab, gets her into the next level. Charlotte got the figure 8 in, ended up winning. She did this other move where she takes her opponent's head and sort of like between her legs and sort of bangs it down, which I saw. I don't know what it's called, but Stephanie Vacker did the exact same move on NXT, and it looks like Charlotte's like lifting a move from Stephanie Vacker. I don't know. I think they may all be lifting that from someone else. Who knows? But yeah, at the end of the match, Charlotte was sort of just not letting her opponent go. So of course we got Tiffany Stratton coming down, the obligatory pull apart. There's a dive from the ring. They're fighting. They get pulled off to the back. We go on with the next segment. But what I liked is we come back from commercial. Miz TV is starting. But Charlotte and Tiffany fight right back out. And Tiffany does this a dive, this time off the top of the Titantron. She did actually miss Charlotte both times. And she knocked out the security guards. I mean, Charlotte's the one in hot pink. And the security guards are all in black. But whatever. She knocked out the whole group. Got Charlotte somehow. I think continuing this fight and continuing the pull aparts unexpectedly after break is good because I think this feud needs more heat. They need to really build this feud. I mean, it's going to be an amazing match. Maybe a passing of the torch moment, or maybe Charlotte's going to take the title and the passing of the torch moment is going to happen at SummerSlam. But you can't just have the match be great. I think they had that problem with Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair a few years ago, which was an incredible match, like one of the top matches of the year, not the top match of the year, but the build was sort of lackluster. Here, at least they're putting some energy into the build. It's good to see. And seeing as we talked about the interrupted Miz segment, well, the Miz got interrupted again. Cody Rhodes takes him down, hits a series of crossroads. That's because Miz had cut off Cody's whoa for the crowd. Cody takes off his suit jacket to show his shirt, says Barcelona on it. So he's obviously trying to play to the crowd, but he basically says, yeah, I'm not talking to anyone. I'm not talking to the Miz. I'm not talking to anyone unless their name is John Cena. It was short. It was sweet. It got this crowd a view of Cody Rhodes, which is nice. Maybe I think Cody might have come out in like a dark match at the end or something at the end to give them more of him. But at least he basically said, no, you got to watch Monday. I'm going to talk to John Cena. It's he gave two really passionate promos, the last two or three TV shows. And this time he basically said, yeah, now I want to talk to John Cena. Good build. Paul Heyman came out essentially to plug the 2K25 video game with Roman Reigns on the cover, and to hint at the triple threat match by dissing Rollins, but acknowledging CM Punk, and also to inform the crowd that Roman Reigns would be there on SmackDown next week in Bologna, Italy. Now, that got a boo from the crowd because he wasn't there that week. And Heyman's response, I mean, it was a good, perfect in-character response. Heyman's great with a mic, but I'm wondering if there might have been some subtext he put in there, because he said, oh, don't boo. All you got to do is book a flight on Cheapo Airlines, a fly to Bologna. It's not like Mussolini's going to be at the border stopping you from coming in or something along those lines. But the two words in sequence, he did say the words like Mussolini, which is part of CM Punk's Cult of Personality entrance music, like Mussolini. I don't think it could be an accident that he chose to put those words together. Maybe he wasn't expecting the boo from the crowd, and he did improvise, but he thought, oh, this is a good chance to drop a subtle CM Punk reference that a lot of people on the internet will pick up on. I don't think I'm the only one who's picked up on that. It was, again, a nice, fun Paul Heyman promo, and the crowd, who was hot the whole night, they were upset they didn't have Roman Reigns, but they did get to see a lot of great show, and they definitely played very well with the Wise Man. And speaking with stuff happening next week, well, we got Jade Cargill fighting Liv Morgan. And this segment was an interview segment with Jade Cargill with Kathy Kelly in an empty arena. And she's passionate. She's saying that she saw she felt being attacked and thrown onto the hood of the car. And as she was passing out, she saw Naomi running away. Now, Naomi was wearing a bright yellow outfit that night, so it's kind of hard to miss. But obviously people online are speculating that maybe this meant Bianca somehow still was behind it. I don't think Bianca was behind the attack, but I mean, she still might turn heel, but I don't think Bianca was in cahoots at all with Naomi or got Naomi to do it. But in the middle of this, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez were laughing, and they made some very good points. Liv said, why didn't you say something sooner? For weeks, they've been blaming me and Raquel. And that's a very interesting point. Obviously, Jade doesn't like Liv Morgan just because she wasn't the one who attacked her. So she started talking trash to Liv. Liv talked back, and they set up the match for next week. And Liv's going away was laughing, saying, oh, don't get thrown into a car before next week. Something like that. Like total snarky heel. I love Liv Morgan's character work here. And Jade Cargill's character work was very good too. She's very stoic, very serious, very much the babyface, to contrast with Liv, who's very much the heel. I'm also really interested to see how this match will turn out. I think it could be quite good. Looking forward to it next week. And also next week, it looks like we've got Piper Niven versus Zelina Vega. I really loved how this came about, the whole bit with Chelsea's secret Hervis. They wouldn't even let her be interviewed until they cleared the scene. That was being Piper and Alba Fire. And then Chelsea comes through, does the interview, and then Zelina basically issues the challenge. And Piper says, no, you want a shot at her, you got to go through me. I wonder if she's now going to have to go through, all challengers are going to have to go through both Piper and Alba Fire before getting the shot at Chelsea. This whole gimmick is great. And you can tell, especially in Europe, like the crowd is really into this as well, too. I'm looking forward. Ultimately, I can see Zelina Vega maybe fighting Chelsea at WrestleMania. That would be a good match. I could see Zelina Vega having the championship. But at this point, I kind of want Chelsea to keep this championship because this whole Secret Hervis entourage gimmick is just perfect. Drew McIntyre's video promo is bringing me one step closer to actually wanting to see him fight Damian Priest at WrestleMania and giving some credibility to that feud. He made some very good points. Yeah, it makes sense that he would have issues with Damian Priest. Damian Priest was the one who benefited each time that CM Punk screwed him over or that he screwed himself over by focusing on CM Punk. I mean, Drew always likes to blame other people, even if he would blame himself. It is true that Damian Priest was the beneficiary of all these things that screwed Drew over, be it himself or Punk. And of course, with the match, Damian Priest versus Shinsuke Nakamura was a good match. It was enjoyable, but it was really just a setup for Drew's entrance and it was a disqualification, so can't really say it's a good match. It's good that Shinsuke is still sticking around. Maybe they'll find something else for him to do. But the real point was Drew attacking Priest, causing the DQ, beating him, and then basically running back to attack him and like talking like, I'm going to ruin your life. Da, da, da. They're getting closer. I think this match might be something to look forward to at WrestleMania, and this feud has the potential to be really good. They just hadn't shown it to me yet. Now they're starting to show it to me and to all of us. So good job. I love how Gunther found a way to still be a heel with the European crowd, saying he was in Madrid and he's the greatest European wrestler. And then, of course, he brings out Axiom as his opponent. Axiom, one half of the NXT Tag Team Champions from Spain. This was a really, really good match. This was exciting. At a few points, I was thinking, like, wait a second, is Axiom going to win this? I'm like, it's a non-title, so it doesn't mess up Gunther's match with Jey Uso, but obviously it really would because you want Jey to be the only person to beat him this year. He lost twice last year. Once to Sammy, once to Cody Rhodes. But these two put on a hell of a show. It was a really fun match to watch. Obviously, Axiom is someone I don't really watch NXT, but now Axiom is someone that I'm definitely going to be paying attention to. And again, really impressive. And Gunther got some heel work in at the end by attacking or by still trying to make Axiom pass out after the victory, and then sort of trying to talk to Jimmy Uso, like, look what I did to Axiom, warn your brother. And then Jimmy stands up to him. I wouldn't be surprised if Gunther maybe attacked Jimmy at some point to give more reason for Jey wanting to destroy him, attack his family, sort of thing. Of course, you start messing with that family, besides the one person you're feuding with, you're kind of messing with a whole slew of trouble. But anyway, still good heel work from Gunther. And now back to the very beginning of the show. Wow. Like I said a few times, the crowd was excellent. The crowd was very apparent at the very beginning when LA Knight came in. I mean, it could have been anyone, but he was definitely someone who was very over. The crowd was so into it. He had the microphone. They were singing. It was like 5 minutes or something of just the crowd making noise, singing, like really active crowd. LA Knight, you could tell, was loving it. He made a joke saying you got to be louder. Obviously not the case. Talks about, he's the US champion, but he feels he's worldwide. Amazing babyface reaction. It was a bit weird when Jimmy Uso came out because the crowd was so into LA Knight. I don't think they were sure how to take Jimmy talking to him. Jimmy wants a US title match, which I could see happening. That maybe at Mania, who knows? Maybe it's a multi-man match or something. But of course, that didn't last long. Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu came out. Solo almost swore and caught himself. And he said Jacob Fatu is the one who should have the title match, which led to a really exciting 6-man match that Nick Aldis made on the spot. Like he doesn't plan his shows in advance. LA Knight, Jimmy Uso, and Braun Strowman, who came out, versus, you can see where this is going, Jacob Fatu, Solo Sikoa, and Tama Tonga. Jacob looked great in this match. Knight looked really good too. It almost looked they're actually setting up LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. I don't know how that would work. I mean, considering Fatu is supposedly the heel, but I think against LA Knight, he might actually be an equal babyface, unless Solo Sikoa comes out and cheats for him. Braun Strowman got the victory, but of course suffered a beatdown at the hands of Jacob Fatu after the match. And there was an amazing promo Fatu cut backstage later, setting up yet another match for next week. The rematch, Jacob Fatu versus Braun Strowman. Now, I don't think they're going to do Fatu Strowman at WrestleMania. I think maybe it's tapping out here, but they keep implying Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight for the United States Championship, which I'd love to see, but I think that the honor might go to Solo Sikoa because the crowd really doesn't want Solo Sikoa to win. I think they'd be okay with Jacob Fatu beating LA Knight, and you don't really want that with your major over babyface like LA Knight. Maybe it'll be another multi-man match. There's so many triple threats on this WrestleMania card potentially already, even though none have actually been made official. But I definitely, maybe they'll do Strowman Fatu at Mania. I'm not really sure where they're going with this, but I can see what mix of people all these characters are in. Maybe Fatu versus Jimmy Uso, or maybe Solo versus Jimmy Uso and Jacob versus LA Knight. But again, you got the problems I mentioned of them both being really over baby faces. We'll see where it goes, but I'm definitely looking forward to that match next week because Jacob Fatu is great. And I think against Braun Strowman, the crowd's going to be cheering for Fatu. We'll see where all this goes. Randy Orton's also really over with another European crowd, as he is with most crowds. They're singing his song. His match against Carmelo Hayes was good. Carmelo Hayes is actually very good at being the dickhead heel, refusing the handshake. Even after the match, he even counters an RKO, only to get hit with an RKO out of nowhere. Loses. At the end, Orton's, being the good guy, picks him up, tries to give him a handshake, but Hayes isn't having that. Attacks back, so Orton hits him with another RKO, and it looks like he's going for a punt, but then Kevin Owens pulls Carmelo Hayes out of the ring. I mean, that's kind of a good guy move for KO, but I don't know, Orton and KO, the crowd's really loving Orton, and I'm still very excited for Orton versus KO at WrestleMania. This was a good way to get Orton in front of a hot, loving European crowd, and more build for that match, and a good use of Carmelo Hayes as well, too. And these were my assorted thoughts on the March 14th, 2025 WWE Smackdown. Live, really live for me, from Barcelona. Did you agree with my assorted thoughts? Let me know in the comments. Follow at Silo Voice Wrestling on Facebook and Instagram, at Silo Wrestling on X, and me at Jason C. McLean on X and Instagram. And please make sure you like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. You'll get all my wrestling hot takes, cold takes, simmering takes, wrestling opinion pieces, WWE Premium Live Event prediction and review videos, and assorted thoughts on Raw and, of course, SmackDown. And I'll be back with my assorted thoughts on Raw. Until next time, for Silo Voice Studios in Montreal, I'm Jason C. McLean.